Hi everyone, we are team number one. I'm Sebastian Miramontes and my teammates are David Jesús Sánchez, Carlos Alberto Rojas, David Torres, Juan Antonio Elizondo, and Victor Alexis Esparza. And we are going to do our reading presentation about the text Blink. Let's start with the first section, that is the context. Well, the text Blink was included in the book Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking, written by Malcolm Gladwell. This book was written in the United States in 2005, that was the year of the first publishing. The president during this year was Bush. He was in his second lapse. The way of government of this president was very related to the next generation because he tried to improve the health and educational systems in the United States. This is because he got traumatized with the 2001 disaster, better known as the Twin Tower disaster. This happened in his first lapse. 2005 was a year with a lot of changes and a lot of discoveries, mostly in the scientific way. This is because NASA discovered a new planet called the dwarf planet, and also was the reappearance of the Spanish flu in some different countries. In this same year, the fashion was very related with black and white combination, and also with jeans and t-shirts that were commonly seen, as you can see in the second and the third picture. Madonna, Black Eyed Peas, Coldplay, and James Blunt were the most listened artists in this year. The most recognized inventions were related with transport, as is Michelin Twin, that is the first tire that didn't need to be inflated, and different vehicles as cars or motorcycles were invented in this year. In 2005, Sony introduced the first PlayStation Portable, that is the one you can see in the last picture. The most influential people in this year are George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Hugo Chavez, that were country leaders, Steve Jobs, Martha Stewart, Bill Gates, and Jay-Z, that were company people, and Jeffrey Sachs, Malcolm Gladwell, and Robert Klein, that were scientists. In our opinion, the year 2005 and the text are very related because the text try to explain the way different people react to the same situation depending on the natural factors and time that the experiment give them. And this is related because we think this helped with the advances and discoveries of the year. Also, it helps that people to understand how our brain works, and this is used all the days even if we do not notice it. Let's continue with the next section.
Author biography. Malcolm Gladwell was born on September 3, 1963, in Hampshire, England, to a father who was a mathematics teacher, Graham Gladwell, and to another hand his mother, Joyce Gladwell, a psychotherapist from Jamaica. When he was 6 years old, Malcolm moved to Elmira, Ontario, Canada. He studied at the University of Toronto and received his history degree in 1984 before moving to the US to become a journalist. He initially covered business and science at the Washington Post, where he worked for 9 years. He began working independently at the New Yorker before being offered a position as a personal writer there in 1996.
To explain better this article, first it is important to identify the parts of this article. The introduction is from line 1 to line 27, and then we have all body paragraphs until line 109, in which the concluding paragraph starts and it ends at line 129. Now, this article is an informative one, since its purpose is to inform us about a social experiment that was done a few years ago. It was held in Iowa, United States, before the year 2005, which was the year this article was written. And the experiment consists in testing our capability of thinking either consciously or unconsciously by choosing different cards from which contain scores that could be positive or negative. There were 4 decks, which 2 were blue and 2 were red. The red deck had some minefields, which mean that it had like kind of traps, because you could win a lot of points, but if you lose, you lost a lot of points also. So it was more constant if you choose only from the blue deck. But the purpose of this experiment at the end was to get the highest score possible by choosing only one card per turn. And the purpose, well, the main idea of this text was to compare the decisions we take consciously and from those that we took unconsciously, and how those differ with the unconscious messages we receive nearly at the instant we face a difficult situation. And in the experiment, it resulted that it took nearly 80 cards to realize by analyzing the information that it was safer to take only from the blue deck than from the red deck. And on the other hand, with the unconscious messages, they were nearly at the instant after two turns that our brain started to transmit us signals by indirect channels such as sweat in our hands. An example that supports this idea is how well we think a teacher gives a class. For example, researchers has found out that in several experiments that we could get to the same conclusion after watching a clip of only 5 seconds of a teacher's class than by attending a whole semester. And that experiment just tell us how well our unconscious can work in many situations. And to conclude, we believe that the quality of our thinking depends depends directly on how much time or effort we spend to come to an answer. But the truth is that in several moments, particularly when we are stressed or when we need a fast answer at something, our first impressions can offer us a better view of the world, and those decisions can be just as good as the ones we made with cautiousness and deliberately, which are our conscious thinking.
Statements, comments, and opinions from experts. The key question Blink tries to answer is, when should we trust our instincts and when should we consciously think things through? Although snap judgments are often more accurate than our thoughts out ones, they can also be a result of a subconscious rational, socioeconomics, or appearance-based bias. As important as it is to trust our intuition, it's also important to question it. I think that the task of figuring out how to combine the best conscious deliberation and instinctive judgment is one of the great challenges of our time. Dan Sylvester, August 2, 2018.
We have some quick questions, a little quiz about the article we just explained. And the first one, Raúl, can you help me to answer it?
Well, the first question is how many ways of thinking do we have? And the answer is two.
Yes, it's correct. The second question, can you read it, Sofia Torres?
Is the quality of our decisions directly related to the time we spend thinking on them? I don't remember.
Well, it is no, because quickly decisions can be just as good as the decisions we made with cautiousness. Now, the third question, Mariana, can you help me, please?
Is there a right way or a specific way of thinking? No, because every person works different. Some people are more logical. Some people have to be more, I don't know, critical. My answer is no.
Yes, it's correct. Okay, Santiago, can you do the next one, the number 4, please?
Give an example of a decision made by our unconsciousness.
Well, he didn't answer. An example for a decision made by our unconsciousness can be, for example, when we are walking on the street and a car is just coming by, we just react and run to avoid getting hit by the car. And that is unconscious because we don't think about what we're doing. We just do it and we run to get to a safe place. Now, Jose Eduardo, can you help me with the last one, please?
It's mention a situation where you will take your time to find an answer. An exam.
Yes.
To start with the activities of the book, we are going to start with the activity letter A, which we need to mark as true or false, depending on the information of the reading. So let's start with the first one, which it says, in the experiment with the red and blue decks of cards, most people have some idea of what was happening after 50 cards. Mariana, do you know the answer?
I think it's true.
Yes, it is true. Thank you. Now, let's continue with the second one. People became suspicious of red decks of cards even before they could explain why. Patron, do you know the answer?
True. I think
True.
it's true.
Yes, it is also true. Thank you. Now the third one. According to the reading, the unconscious brains work more slowly than the conscious brain. Raúl, do you have any idea?
False.
Yes, it is false. Thank you. Now, the fourth one. Most people make all their decisions in either one mode or the other, not both. Enya?
False.
Yes, it is false. Thank you. Now, the first one. The decision to jump out of the way of a moving truck, it is probably an unconscious one. It is true or false, Camarillo?
I think is false.
It is true. Now the sixth one. The sayings in the last paragraph of the article urge people to think carefully before making a decision. Andrea, Samudio?
Yes, number 3 is false.
Yes, it is false. Now the seventh one. The reading suggests that we underestimate the value of snap judgments. Jessica, do you know the answer?
It is true.
Yes, it is true. Thank you. And the last one, the eighth one, says our brains do not work well when information is limited. Emilio Rosas, do you have any idea?
He said it in the chat.
Okay,
It is
sorry.
false. And yes, it is false. Thank you.
Okay, so next up, we're gonna be making the vocabulary activity. And this is about reading a paragraph and selecting the words that fit in from the word box in the book. Thin slicing is the ability of our unconscious mind to blank characteristics of a person's behavior and personality from a very brief encounter. Number 1, Jose Eduardo Sánchez. It's the juice, since he didn't answer. It is called thin slicing because just a slice of experience may be all that's necessary for us to form an accurate impression of someone and blank quickly to a new situation. Naomi.
I think it's that. The second one is that.
Yes, that's correct. Thin slicing is vital for operating successfully in a fast-changing environment because it is unconscious and automatic. We can size up a person quickly, instantly narrow our blank for dealing with this person, and decide on an appropriate. Number 3, Telis.
Number 3
Yeah.
is options.
Yeah.
That's correct, options. Number 4, Valeria Ruiz.
Response.
Yes, that's correct. Movies and television programs make good use of our ability to thin slice. When new characters appear, our brain is in thin slice. Number 5, Ivan Silva.
Number 5, right?
Yeah.
I think it is mode.
Yes, that's correct. A brief glimpse or several lines of dialogue can. Number 6, much about a character's personality, background, and importance. Number 6, Daniela. Yes, it is implied. We are suspicious of these first impressions, of course, because movie makers sometimes try to trick us, but that's part of the fun.
Oh, hello. Please go to your page 103. So please raise your hand if you want to participate, and I'll be reading the instructions. Well, to some of the instructions of this activity, a hypothesis will be presented to us, and the students must have to complete the sentence assuming that this hypothesis is correct. So, for example, if the hypothesis is listening to music before beginning a mental task improves concentration, the sentence elaborating on this should be something like, we can predict that students who listen to music before taking a math test will have a higher average score than those who do not. So please raise your hand if you want to participate. Well, so as nobody appears to want to participate, please, so Marcela Garza, can you please participate?
Yes, number 2, right?
Yes.
If the hypothesis is true, we can deduce that a person must eat oranges frequently if he or she doesn't want to get a cold, or any statement that is similar.
Yes. So yeah. Thank you. So Juan Antonio, can you please do the third one? Juan Antonio Howard.
I believe that he was having troubles. I'm not sure.
Oh, so
No,
do I choose another person or?
yes, please.
So who hasn't participated yet? So Loris Stephanie, can you do number 3, please, if you haven't participated?
Wait, can you repeat what Mr. Juan Antonio said?
Sure. So Juan said that he can't unmute himself.
Well, okay, please answer there on the chat, please. Did you answer? No, right? Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mr. David, can we stop there?
Yeah, sure.